Vietnam by Terrell, Doyle. The United States feared that if Vietnam fell to communism, the domino theory would occur, which meant that the other nations of Southeast Asia would also fall to communism. The French struggled against the Vietnam because of their guerrilla tactics, which were irregular troops who usually blend into the civilization population and are often difficult for regular armies to fight. In 1954, the French commander seized the town of Dien Bien Phu so it would interfere with the Vietnam supply lines and force them into battle. Ngo Dinh Diem led South Vietnam, who was a pro-Western and fiercely anti-communist. Ho Chi Minh organized a new guerrilla army called the Viet Cong, which he would use to reunify the nation of Vietnam. On August 7, 1964, the Senate and House passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, authorizing the President to take all necessary measures to repel any armed attack against the forces of the United States and to prevent further aggression. The American pilots used a jelly gas called napalm, which they would use to destroy the landscape. They also used a chemical called Agent Orange, which turned farmland into wasteland. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was used by the North Vietnamese to send arms and supplies across the South. Throughout the early years of the war, General William Westmoreland reported that the army was on the brink of defeat. In 1967, he declared, "The enemy's hopes are bankrupt, and we have reached an important point where the end begins to come into view." This helped form a credibility gap, which made it hard to believe what the Johnson administration said about the war. When the Tet Offensive occurred, guerrilla fighters attacked all American air bases in South Vietnam, which became the bloodiest battle that took place in Hue, South Vietnamese third largest city. More than 5 years before the end of the Vietnam War, President Nixon began working towards ending the war. As a first step, he appointed Harvard professor Henry Kissinger as special assistant for national security affairs and gave him wide authority to use diplomacy to end the conflict. Kissinger embarked upon a policy called linkage, which meant improving relations with the Soviet Union and China, which were the suppliers of aid to North Vietnam. Nixon gradually cut back the number of American troops in Vietnam, which was called Vietnamization. In 1971, Daniel Ellsberg leaked the Pentagon Papers to the New York Times that revealed that many government officials during the Johnson administration privately questioned the war while publicly defending it. In 1971, Congress passed the War Powers Act that required the President to inform Congress of any commitment of troops abroad within 48 hours and to withdraw them in 60 to 90 days unless Congress explicitly approved the troop commitment.